Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2 of Brent's story. Now, in this episode, Brent takes us on a journey as he comes out to his small town family in Red Deer, Alberta. How he lost 115 pounds and how he links that weight to his sexuality and coming out. And some of the major lessons that Brent learned along the way. Pause. If you haven't watched part 1, I'm gonna give you a chance to go back and watch it because you're not gonna wanna miss it. And I'll be waiting right here for you. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that little bell notification as it lets you know when we upload videos every single week. All right, let's dive right in. That was pretty f***ing good. I think I'm done. How long after you came out to your friends did you go to Red Deer and then you came out?
Oh, like that year. So I came out in October to my friends, and I came out at Christmas to my family.
Wow.
So it was like unleashing.
Big year.
Unleashed. Once I went home and really like had that not even had a conversation. I was at the kitchen table at Christmas dinner and had an argument with one of my brother's stupid friends who decided to try to out me to my parents when even the information he had was wrong. He had taken it upon himself to tell my family that I'm now dating and living with a man as a relationship.
Wow.
Even though none of that was true. So he was sitting across the table and I just was like, "You're a liar." And I was like, "I might be gay, but everything you said was wrong and you're a liar. And I'm not going to let you sit here and get away with it." And
that's how you came out?
And that's basically how I came out.
Wow.
And I was like, "So you can lie about whatever you want to, but it's not going to be about me, and you're not going to out me to my family with false information. I'll out myself to my family." And it was just like quiet. It was like, oh God, what just happened? So he ended up leaving. My brother ended up storming out, and then my sister was just like, "I knew it." I feel like she always knew, and she was also I told her before this. So like before getting to that dinner table, I told her that I was gay, but I had hinted it to my mom, and she just suppressed it. And she told me, "Don't tell your dad." Because I was like, "Oh, I'm kind of seeing a guy." And she's like, "Why are you seeing a guy?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just like seeing going on. What's up?" And she's like, "Don't tell your dad." Wow. That's what my mom said.
Wow. And
I was like, "Okay, great. That gives me a lot of confidence."
Yeah.
And so at the dinner table, all this went down, and my mom just didn't say a thing. When my dad stood up to go upstairs, he just gave me a hug, said, "I love you," and walked up the stairs. Didn't say anything. Nobody said anything for like 6 months.
You're just sitting there dying inside.
Like they still talked, but they never asked me about relationships. My mom would be like, "You seeing anybody else?" No, that stopped. Like they didn't want to know if I was seeing anybody. My dating life, my private life was off bounds.
I think that's so hard on the individual already, like struggling with their sexuality. Of just like, parents aren't perfect.
Totally.
But
they're
the people that we look up to the most in our lives sometimes, you know, especially if you have good parents, and having them not communicate the same way that they used to with you is so hard, especially with everything that you're dealing with in your own life.
And like I said it at the time. I was like, it took me 26 years to get here. Yeah. They're not going to get here now. Like especially because they were blindsided by it. They did not even see it coming. Yeah. Internally, I was like, how? Like, come on, guys. I haven't had a girlfriend ever. Like,
some is
you gotta start to think about that shit. But yeah, like, I feel like I had to give them more credit because, like, they didn't disown me. They didn't they weren't outwardly like against it. They just didn't want to talk about it because I feel like they had to digest it themselves. They had to really come to terms with it themselves. And as he said, like, I did not give them enough credit because I thought that all this, like, family first, we're in it together, all this stuff was just going to turn out to be garbage. But it didn't, because the next time I went home and my dad's like, "Oh, I got to show you my new shirt." And I was like, okay. He goes upstairs and he comes downstairs with this, like, rainbow circle TD Canada Trust Forever Proud shirt. I was so like, cute. But me being so taken off guard, I was like, "Why are you wearing that?" Like, I was so, like, shocked that like I got, like, guarded up, and I was like, "Why are you wearing that?" He was like, "Well, I volunteered at Pride here in Red Deer."
My heart.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was adorable, and it made me realize that like they were right. They the family first. The dynamic that we had as a family was right, and like my brother still would not breach the subject because he was really torn up about it because he thought it was something he did. Mm-hmm. He thought it was like, oh, he wasn't enough of a brother. He beat me up too much. He was like, he didn't invite me out with his friends enough. He was like, he ignored me too much. Like he really took it on as like this, like he did something wrong. It's like
sexuality is no one's fault.
Yes, exactly.
No one's fault.
But again, you don't know that when you've never been exposed to it. Like you're Tom Price, the big oil field like enforcer. He is hands down the most like masculine human being. I often refer to him as a silverback gorilla. I was like, God, there's so much testosterone. There's just so much happening there. But like, he was driving me back to the airport, and this was a very learning moment for me, but also like a teachable moment. Is he used the N-word, which was another big struggle for me. You know how much of a visceral reaction I have when you say that word. It makes me want to fucking punch you in the face. Like, don't say that word around me or ever. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm trying to get better with a lot of things. And you have to give me credit. I'm like, what are you getting better at? You just said that word, which is like the worst word you can ever use. Yeah. He's like, well, I'm getting better with faggots. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, don't freak out that he said that word. Because even though that word is like awful when it's said the wrong way, he acknowledged that he's getting better. And that he's coming to terms with like accepting it. And it's like he needs to, that to me showed me that he was working on it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, and for him, of all people on this planet, to like acknowledge that and change his behavior and change his vocabulary and like try to make an effort, it meant a lot. And I did not want to ruin that moment. So I was just like, okay. First of all, thank you for acknowledging that you're getting better with that. Yeah. Second of all, like, if you ever want to talk about that to help you deal with that, like, let's talk about it. And he was just like, no, I'm fine, it's fine. And it was like, that was the first time he acknowledged it. And I was like, cute. Step number one, we're there. Okay. And then and honestly, every single time I've ever gone back after that has been like better and better and better and better. Every time I go to a family function and it's like, there's never once been a moment where I have felt like any one of my family members was like embarrassed or ashamed about who I was. Okay. And one of the things that I said to them, I was like, you have a decision to accept me as I am or tolerate me. If you're tolerating me, I want none of it. Because that means if you tolerate me, that means you don't agree, but you're just going to let it happen. Mm-hmm. But if you accept it, I'll be here. And so
good for you.
That was like their
powerful
ultimatum. And well, it wasn't even an ultimatum. I think it just took them time to realize the difference. And the biggest thing I learned is I never ever gave any of my family members enough credit. They were always going to be there for me. Yeah. They will. Like, and they still are. They're my biggest supporters now.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome to see like your parents from such a small town actually put in that work to make you feel like they're doing the work, you know? Yeah. They're putting in the effort and they're working towards understanding.
They're learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a whole new world for them. They're going from one end of the spectrum to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and they're doing it with love.
And they're being leaders in a town that doesn't have leaders.
Exactly. Know? And it's even cool to see people come to them now for help. Because like my mom, one of her colleagues, his son is now identifying as gay. And he's like, I don't know, because he's a very Catholic guy. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know what's going on. Like I want to just shake him and say like, you can't be. This isn't the way it is. He's like, but how did you deal with it with Brent? And so she was just like, just gotta deal with it with love. Like, they're your kid. Like, if you had a choice but have a gay kid or have no kid at all, which one would you choose? He was like, well, I'd have a gay kid. And she's like, well, then go with that and love that.
Amen, Mom.
Yeah, but then he was like, well, I'm going to take him to the church counselor in Edmonton. And she's like, how about you just take them to a counselor in Edmonton?
Good.
How's that? And so, like, he did. And, like, she really helped him, coached him through.
That's huge.
Coming to terms with having a gay son. And his son was only, like, 11 or 12. And I'm like, your son is in Red Deer at 11 years old, willing to come out to you, meaning you have done something amazingly well as a parent.
100%.
Oh, I have nothing but like
wow,
wonderful things to say about if you are a parent and your kid comes out to you at a young age, congratulations, because you've done something great.
Yeah. You linked your weight to coming out with your sexuality, like your weight loss to your coming out with your sexuality. So you lost 115 pounds, am I right?
Yeah.
What was that experience like and that journey?
Basically, as soon as I came out, it was like, I felt this relief immediately. Yeah. My weight was such an armor. Like, oh, I didn't have sex with girls because I'm too fat. And I'm just not attractive, so therefore I don't even try. Yeah. It gave me a reason to like stay inside. Mm-hmm. And I started feeling really strong in my mind and feeling confident in like as me as a human being, because I'd done so much development in that area, but I'd never paid any attention to my body. I was at Coachella and I was like, my favorite band's playing across the field. I'm just gonna go. It was hot and I would always wear like big baggy shorts and a big t-shirt, and it was like a hat because I just wanted to like just not show, like just wanted to sink into the background. And I got so exhausted walking across that field in the heat that I stopped 3 times to get across Coachella. And I ended up missing my favorite band, and I was like, this is not who I am. This is like this and this no longer match, because like I don't need this armor anymore. I don't need this like this protection from who I am. And then basically that was in April, and in June I joined a CrossFit gym and I got a personal trainer, and the first thing he tried to make me do was do a push-up from my knees, and I couldn't do a single push-up from my knees. And it was just like devastating. And I was like, what did I do to myself? And my coach was just like, okay, great, we got somewhere to start. And like for the next 3 months, all we did was like try to build strength, because he's seen how devastated it made me that I was at that point. So he helped me build enough strength, and I got my first push-up from my toes in 3 months. And I was like, man, if I can go from there to here in 3 months, like, and in that process I had like lost probably like 20 or 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, now what? And then I wanted to pull up, and then we started working on that, and then I started doing actual CrossFit classes, and then like I was just like dropping weight, and the more I did, the more I was like, oh my god, I'm so interested in what I can do.
Yeah, that motivated you.
Totally. It was no longer like, before that moment, I feel like everything I did was like, okay, well, I don't want to do that because I don't know what's on the other side. You know, like I was afraid to move forward because I didn't know what that would bring. Yeah. And I was like, the worst of it is over, Brent. Like, there's nothing left to fear because there's no secrets anymore. Like, I literally had no secrets, so I wanted to jump more and more forward because I had nothing left to hide, and I had nothing left to hold me back.
Totally.
And so, like, lifting the weight of all that emotional garbage off of my body was just like, okay, it's time to go. And I got so into fitness. I loved CrossFit. I was in there, and I ended up losing like 115 pounds. And now I'm at the most comfortable weight I've been in a really long time. And it's the healthiest weight. It's like, I don't have a six-pack, but nor should I. Do I need one?
Yeah.
No. I mean, sorry, Chris, but I'm married. I don't need it.
Sorry, honey.
Yeah. I'm married. I don't need a six-pack. And now I own a gym.
He owns a gym.
I own a gym.
Like, but I think it's a strong message of just like, anything is accomplishable.
Yeah, sure. It is now.
Anything is accomplishable.
We get it.
You know, like you shedded your entire old self and created a new version of yourself that you're more proud of, more inspired by, and you did something that you would never have probably done in your past, and now you own a gym.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah, it's wild. Because I wanted to create a space where, like, people do that for themselves.
Yeah.
People have the ability to, like, no matter who you are or where you come from, like, you have the ability to create anything you want to create for yourself.
With that weight loss, what was some of the major lessons that you learned throughout it?
There's no such thing as a straight line in life. Like, there's never point A and point B. As cliche and stupid as it sounds, it's never about what you want to get to. It's about how you get there. And it's about what you go through on your way. Because if I was to just be like, okay, I'm going to lose weight, boom, and got there, I wouldn't have learned as much. I wouldn't have developed
discipline.
Yeah, I wouldn't have developed all the things that I did, and then built my kind of confidence the way that I did. Because also, life is going to throw things at you, whether you're the most confident, fit, whatever, successful person. it doesn't matter who you, like what you've achieved, life is still going to throw shit at you and you need to know how to deal with it. And so it's all those curves and things that you go through all your whole life that teach you that like you're not made of glass.
Amen. You're not the biggest struggles are the biggest lessons.
Totally.
You've come such a long way from being super closeted at 26 coming out, and now you are happily married with Chris.
Yes.
What has that been like for you?
It's awesome. As soon as I came out, that was actually something that I really struggled with. It's like I always wanted a partner. I always wanted someone to build a life with. I always wanted a monogamous relationship that like I wanted the dogs and the picket fence and all the shit. You know, that's what I wanted. But as soon as I realized that I was gay, I was like, oh, that doesn't happen for us. Because like again,
you've never seen
it, so I didn't think that it was something that would happen for me. And then it was. You know, there it is. It's like I got everything that I wanted. My wedding was it was the best day of my life.
I love that.
It was like essentially every end of the spectrum of queerness was there, as well as like the incredibly heterosexual masculine energy was there.
Wow.
And it was just love. It was acceptance. It was love. It was beautiful.
That is powerful.
It was powerful. And people left that wedding being like, that was something special. Something that I never thought I'd see in my life.
Totally. I think that it also for you must have, like, looking around that room, just must have broke down every last area that had those beliefs and just was just like, look what we have created.
Yeah.
You know?
And because me and Chris love each other, all these different people get to like learn.
Yeah.
From our love.
I love that.
It's just like, it's the power of following your path. Like follow your path.
Yeah.
Like you know what you think is right and what you think is wrong. You know what feels good and what doesn't. If you just navigate with who you are authentically and unapologetically, like it is going to lead you to everything you want. And that's the biggest lesson. Angela Davis, who's like a spin goddess. She is incredible. I was listening to one of her spin classes and she's like, everybody who's born thinks about like, oh, like what is my purpose in life? Like you need to search for it, you need to find it, you need to work towards it. She's like, that's not true. Your purpose in life was being born. You are already your purpose in life. You are your purpose in life. Like being you, being authentic, learning about who to be you with, it's like, that's your purpose in life. The biggest impact you are ever going to make on the world is by being you.
100%.
That is such truth.
It is. And it almost puts into perspective, like, you know, all the hardship that we go through and everything that has happened to us in our past is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's there for us to learn. And it's there for us to decide to embrace it for what it was, learn from it, and adapt and help educate people that maybe have been going through the same situations that we're going through. What's some advice that you would give to your younger self?
Don't be so affected by other people's opinions. I think as a kid, it's hard not to be
100%.
Affected by the people that you love the most, opinions about certain things. But looking back, I feel like there was a way where I could have been like, I just don't feel that's right, so it's not for me. You know, like I didn't have the self-worth that would let me hear people, but not absorb it.
And the confidence.
Yeah. And it's like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be okay. Shit gets hard, and like things are hard, and life is not sunshine and rainbows all the time. But no matter what, time will always pass and everything will be okay.
Yeah. I think the biggest lesson is just like, you know, everything is temporary and it's just a moment of your life.
Totally.
You have this huge life and this one moment that might seem crazy.
Yeah.
But it's temporary.
100%.
You know?
And like, deal with it. Go through it. Feel it. Like, let yourself live in that moment. Yeah. But but be careful how long you let yourself be there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You can do that. Good words. What would you say is the next steps for inclusion of the LGBTQ plus community?
I think that's an easy answer. It's the acceptance of gender nonconforming and trans people. I feel like too long, and I say this like as one of them, but like you're cis white gay man, like we have had the spotlight for so long, and it's like it's it's enough. Like we look stupid now, and I feel like we look weak right now because we're living in our glory. And I say like, oh, Vancouver's such an easy place to live. It's because I am those things.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee you, if for our trans people of color walking down the street in Vancouver, it's not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
So like, there's so much privilege that comes from being a gay man, you know, and it's weird. Thank God we live in a world where I can say that, but there's privilege in being a gay man.
Yeah.
Whereas like our trans like community is fighting for their lives, truly, and our gender nonconforming community is fighting for their identity and fighting for a little bit of us to be aware of them and just to really like accept the fact that like we need to be their advocates because it's our voices people are listening to now, not theirs, and it was ultimately them that gave us our voices. 100%. You know, so like
100%.
We need to really just snap out of it and lift them up because they need us right now.
Yeah, and they fought the fight for us at the beginning,
and then we just left them behind.
Yeah, and the one thing that I find the most heartbreaking is when people within our community treat them
like second-class citizens.
Yeah, and the way that
it makes me so mad.
It's horrible.
It's really, and it's disheartening. It's like, where have we come from? Why are we here right now?
I think that like we need to be there to support and echo the voices of trans and gender non-conforming people.
Absolutely.
And help raise them up because they've done that. They've done so much work for us. And we need to embrace them for who they are and
for the work that they've done.
Yeah, and be in the work and educate people for them.
Yeah. Like it's time that we like respect people for who they are.
Amen.
And like let them live their authentic self because we're doing it. We are a community. We are one and the same. Whether you are gender non-conforming, whether you are trans, whether you're gay, lesbian, whatever it is that you identify as, you have a place, and I will fight for your place. Because that's the community that I want to live in. That's the world that I want to live in.
Wow. Well, no, but thank you for having that conversation with me.
Of course.
And opening up that dialogue and having those moments, you know? Mm-hmm. And I commend you for your journey and everything that you've been through.
Thanks, you too.
But thank you for coming on here.
Of course. My pleasure, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. What an amazing story. First of all, I want to say a massive thank you for Brent for coming on here and being so open and vulnerable and sharing his story. Second of all, just want to say a massive thank you to you guys for tuning in and following us every single week. Next week, we have a brand new interview, so tune back in. All right, ciao for now.